It's 2024, and despite the fact that every new road bike features disc brakes, a lot of people, and I include myself in this, still own rim brake bikes that they love to ride. But which brands do you go to if you want to upgrade or replace the wheels on said road bike? Well, I have pulled together a bunch of different options that span nearly every price point. And also, since new rim brake wheel sets are harder to come by, at the end of this video, I've included some advice when buying secondhand. First up, we've got Hunt, a firm favourite here in the UK, but it's also a brand that ships internationally. Being a wheel specialist, Hunt has a very large range to choose from, and this includes plenty of rim brake options. However, if you're on a budget, we think the Race Aero wide wheel set could be a really good place to start. In the UK, they cost £499 and weigh in at a very competitive 1,496 grams. Not bad considering the price. Crucially for you rim brake aficionados, while the wheels are optimised for 25 to 28mm tyres, Hunt says they will also work well down to 23mm, making them perfect for the old school rim brake project that you've got sitting in the garage. They're also tubeless ready if you're looking to run the latest and greatest in tyre tech. But with tyres this narrow, I personally wouldn't recommend it. It would be pretty tricky to make a list about great rim brake wheels and not include Campagnolo. After all, they've been in the game for a really long time, so we suspect that they know a thing or two about making a decent wheel set. Just like Hunt, they have options to suit more modest budgets. But for those looking for something to get everyone talking outside the cafe, then the Bora WTO 45s could be worth a closer look. Again, they're suitable for 23, 25 and 28mm tyres, and they feature a 45mm deep rim, which gives a nice balance between aerodynamics and having a competitive weight. As you can see, the rims are made from lots of lovely carbon fibre, so we'd expect them to feel pretty snappy when you start cranking out those watts. That being said, they don't come cheap, coming in at around the €2,500 mark on the Campagnolo website. Finally, it's worth mentioning that these wheels feature Campagnolo's two-way fit system, meaning that you can run them with tubeless tyres or with classic clinchers. From one all-time classic brand to another, we are of course talking about Mavic. Just like Campagnolo, Mavic has been around for a relatively long time, meaning they have built a comprehensive rim brake range to suit a variety of different budgets. At the top end, you have their Cosmic SLR 40 model, which, as you'd expect, features a carbon rim and a competitive 1,390 gram claimed weight for the pair. Interestingly, they also feature fully sealed rim beds, so there's no messing around with tape if you decide to go tubeless. If you're looking for something in the mid-range, then take a look at their Caesarium SL model. And for those on a budget, there's the Axiom model, which costs just €299 for the pair. So far, I have given you some relatively sensible options when it comes to wheel brands who still offer rim brakes. So, to break things up a little bit, let's take a look at these TLO 30 tubulars from Schmolke. Yes, I know what you're thinking, tubulars. Who rides those anymore? And granted, there's very few circumstances where these wheels would truly shine. But if you are that person who needs one of the lightest, no-compromise rim brake wheel sets available, the TLO 30s should be high on your list. In terms of weight, they come in at a mind-blowing 980 grams for the pair. Yep, you heard that right, under a kilo for a wheel set. They also feature ultra-rare and ultra-lightweight hubs from Italian brand Extralight. As an aside, I'd recommend checking out their website if you're looking at exotic lightweight tech. Of course, they are not cheap, costing around €2,500, but when you consider some brands' wheel sets cost twice as much as these, you could almost consider the TLO 30s to be relatively competitively priced. Either way, it's great to know there's someone out there still making wheels designed for one thing and one thing only: going uphill fast. Right. Now we've got the super lightweight wheels out of the way, let's get back to something a little more sensible for the everyday cyclist. Enter DT Swiss. The Swiss brand has been around since 1994 and covers all of the cycling disciplines. In terms of rim brake wheels, Again, their range is comprehensive and suits a variety of different budgets. There's even an Aero range, which is available in 3 different rim depths: 80, 62 and 48mm. As you'd expect, they come with DT Swiss spokes, and the top of the range set comes with the brand's legendary 180 hubs. Don't expect wheels like that to come cheap though, so if you're after something a little more affordable, we'd recommend going for the same rims, but with DT Swiss 240 hubs instead. The difference in performance will be marginal at best, but you'll save yourself a decent chunk of change in the process. Before we get on to choosing second-hand wheels, it's worth briefly going over custom rim brake wheel sets, whereby you pick your preferred hubs, spokes and rims, and then build them yourself, if you're very clever. Or probably, like most of us, you pay an experienced wheel builder to build them for you. Going down the custom route is more than likely going to cost you more. However, it does open up a whole new world of boutique parts and interesting choices that you wouldn't usually get with stock wheels. Say for example, you'd like a cheap set of winter rims, but you want a very high quality set of hubs that will be able to put up with years of wet weather abuse. In this situation, it could be worth going down the custom route, as brands rarely do their highest spec hubs on a budget rim. An experienced wheel builder can even tweak a wheel set to suit your riding style. For example, if you were a particularly powerful rider, they could spec your wheels to better cope with all the watts that you're going to be putting through them. I'd also add, there is a certain pleasure to be had from knowing who built your wheels and knowing you played a part in how they were spec'd. Custom wheels deserve their own video, as there's almost too much to cover in this short segment, so do let me know down in the comments if that's something that you'd like to see in the future. Finally, let's get on to what you should be looking out for if you're thinking about getting a pair of second-hand rim brake wheels. After all, there could be some pretty great deals to be had as riders continue to switch over to discs. First up, we would recommend having a good look at the brake track and checking for any excessive wear. And by this we mean a deep groove in the rim bed where the brake pads have gradually worn down the aluminium or carbon. Some rims have wear indicators, but if the rim looks excessively worn, it could result in a catastrophic failure when braking. And in cases like this, we'd recommend walking away, simple as that. Check for any lateral play in the hubs and check the bearings spin nice and freely. Sometimes it is easier to do this with the wheels in a bike. The free hub body is also worth checking. Again, does it have any play in it? But also check if the cassette has started to bite into the hub body itself. A small amount might not be a deal breaker. However, if you're starting to see really big grooves, then that might also need replacing pretty soon. Have a really good look over the spokes, making sure they all feel tight. It's also worth looking at the nipples to check for any signs of corrosion. And lastly, don't forget to check that the rims run true. Once again, doing this with the wheels in a bike could make things a whole lot easier. Second-hand wheels may have had a pretty hard life, so it's certainly worth doing your due diligence if you think a deal looks too good to be true.